Hello, good afternoon or good evening, depending upon when you're watching this. This is a complete continuous live set to replace the laughable fiasco of Friday night, where the visual disappeared. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully this will make up for it. There are no edits, no nothing. This is what's actually happening. So more or less the same set, although I managed to execute a successful live show last night. So I may have changed the set list ever so slightly, but I certainly started, I'll take those off, certainly started with this. Sign a small industrial loan. I shopped around until I found a rig within my means. I put $15,000 down on the canvas of my dreams. My sister's husband helped me out, and we took the thing apart. And knew them all by heart. We cleaned her out and painted her and brought her up to speed, and I proudly put my name upon the Kenworth of my dreams. But sometimes late, out on some interstate, I hear the sad country songs, true love found and true love gone. But lately I just turn the damn thing on. Lots of friends, they shook their heads, convinced that I'd lost mine. They said living in a goddamn truck was just a waste of time. To spend your life behind the wheel, it's not as great as it might seem. I just thanked them all and left one night in the Kenworth of my dream. But sometimes late at night, out on some interstate, I hear those sad country songs, true love found and true love gone. Lately I just turn the damn thing off. Business, it's been pretty good, and I've no cause to complain. I haul bourbon up from Buffalo and frozen fruits to Maine. Toxic waste, a Quaker state, it's all the same to me. I'll go anywhere for anything in the Kenworth of my dreams. I'll go anywhere for anything in the Kenworth of my dreams. I'll go anywhere for anything in the Kenworth of my dreams. Those of you who know me will know I have a predilection for truck songs, and that's yet another brilliant truck song from my good friend Mr. Richard Shindell. And I shall be recording that one fairly soon on disc 2 of the box set, which will all be covers. Anyway, we are at that time of day, fairly obviously from my extravagant lighting plot. The autumn sun is blazing in through the window on this side, and that's when I know it's time to drag out this Steve Ashley song. Winter's coming, we live shorter day. The sun is hunting, all for a place to stay. And I cross fingers coconut shell. Well, he can't find the bacon rind, and hunger makes his vertebrae swell. Now is the time for fire and wine, fire for the body and wine for the mind. We will sing and play till break of day, and we will sing Jack Frost away. Old October holds me over, damp November it makes me sneeze, and then December, cruel December, brings the frost to freeze my knees. Now is the time for fire and wine, fire for the body and wine for the mind. We will sing and play till break of day, and we will sing Jack Frost away. Winter brings us to the singers and the drinkers, glass in hand, with roll-up smokers and midnight jokers, and listeners all who sit and stand. Now is the time for fire and wine, fire for the body and wine for the mind. We will sing and play till break of day, and we will sing Jack Frost away. Now is the time for fire and wine. Steve Ashley, one of his finest songs, all about this time of year. And, well, Mr. Grayling, one of our esteemed leaders, seems to have been in the news again a little just recently. And a good friend of ours, satirist, poet and genius, Mr. Les Barker, who is very good at sort of topical observations, shall we say. And this is, he's taken a tune by the late, great and wonderful Cyril Tawney. Well, Cyril's most famous song's probably Grey Funnel Line, and he's taken that tune and added some lyricism of his own, which you may or may not find amusing. Don't mind the wind or the rolling sea, the weary night never worries me. Don't mind the storms, don't fear the squall, because we've got no ships at all. There's room below on the no funnel line. Some chap called Graylin called around and gave us £13 million, and in his haste he failed to spot the thing we need that we have not. There's room below on the no funnel line. One day they'll come, the HGVs, down through the town and along the quays, and down the ramp all unaware, and find the ferry, it isn't there. There's room below on the no funnel line. There is, I fear, no way to end. Our way from Margate to Ostend. Our name may well be seaborne freight, but without a boat we're buggered, mate. There's room below on the grey funnel line. No funnel line. Oh Lord, if dreams were only real, we'd make our fortune from no deal. One final toast, please raise your drinks, as May's Titanic, it slowly sinks. There's room below on the no funnel line. And as we slip beneath the sea, the band will play Abide With Me. And barely yards from Blighty shore, we'll sail the no funnel line no more. We'll sail the no funnel line no more. Les Barker, ladies and gentlemen. There's loads more to come from him. He's obviously a mate of sort of everyone pretty much involved in the folk scene, so whenever he comes up with some little gem that he thinks is suitable for a certain person, he sends it to them. So he sends me 3 or 4 a year, so maybe it's time possibly to do another Les Barker sort of collaboration at some point in time. We shall see. Anyway, back to the faithful black guitar. Most of you who don't play will, of course, know that we always refer to little quartz tuners in a vain attempt to get our instruments in tune. But I guess the one of the small advantages of doing things like this online is that here I am in part of my studio in the house, surrounded by guitars. So firstly, every time I talk or sing, 20 guitars are zinging. So although the sound quality is good on this system, you probably aren't as aware of it as I am, but it's actually rather nice. But the other thing is tuning, because I think the last thing anyone wants to hear is someone spending hours trying to accurately tune by ear when really they should be singing. Mind you, no one wants to hear this waffle either, but there you go. But the beauty of being here is, of course, that the sound in this room is good. There's this slight zing, so tuning absolutely naturally by ear is 10 times easier. So I thought you ought to know that. Davy Graham. I probably learnt more about doing that kind of thing than listening to anything that Eric Clapton did, because when in 1964 I heard Folkless and Beyond, I learnt all the songs. I've lied to you for years because I've always said that the Cocaine Blues, yonder come the baby, she's dressed in blue. I kind of got it into my head over the last 2 or 3 decades. That's the first song I learnt off the album. In fact, the first song I learnt off the album was back to good old Cyril Tawney. Sally, free and easy, that shouldn't be her name. That actually was the first one. But here's another song from the album by Blind Willie Johnson, who was gospel blues singer. And in fact, Raikuda's last brilliant album contains no less, I think, than Prodigal Son, the album's called. It contains no less than 3, I think, Blind Willie Johnson songs, because there's a slight gospel undertone to the album. This is no exception. This is one of my favourites, learnt all those years ago in 1964. from crying sometimes. Cannot keep from crying sometimes. 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes, they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I said when she first left me, to get on a little while, soon it would be all over and I'd journey with a smile. But my thoughts as I get older, I dream of what I told her. I'll have to keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes are full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I'm on the King's Highway and I'm traveling night and day. My mother's gone before me, I must be on my way. My father, he's gone too. My sister, she could not stay. And I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes, they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes are full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying. Cannot keep from crying. So, time for a spot of this. So 1977, I was probably in the middle of the night. I was probably at Mid Wales Sound Studios. All those years ago, I'd probably driven, I was living in Gloucestershire by then. We'd moved from Brighton, myself and Paul Downs, because Brighton was just lovely town, but too inconvenient to work from. So we'd headed up that general direction, and often I would be taking stuff from Paul Lindsay's workshop at Mike Oldfield's studio, also in Gloucestershire, via Ronnie Lane's strange studio up there, stuff that had been fixed for Ronnie's studio and so on. And then so stay there for a cup of tea, they're a mad bunch, and then I would head on to Mid Wales Sound. And after we'd done whatever sessions we were doing, which were largely to do with kind of country bands and things like that, and occasionally our own stuff, I'd spend half the night going through Alan's copious country music record collection, where I discovered Hoyt Axton, and by virtue of Hoyt Axton I discovered John Hartford and this song. Lost my eyes in a blacksmith shop, year of 46, working on a revolver and it was out of fix. I am so sad condemned to roam, 'cause I am a blind fiddler and I'm a great long way from home. I've been down to Knoxville to talk to Dr. Lane. He operated on my eyes, but nothing could he gain. I am so sad and lonely, and I'm condemned to roam, 'cause I am a blind fiddler and I'm a great long way from home. I've got a wife and 3 little kids, they depend on me, sharing all my sorrows wherever they may be. And I hope that they'll be careful as through this life they roll, 'cause I am a blind fiddler and I cannot help them. Lost my eyes in a blacksmith shop, year 46, working on a revolver and it was out of play. I am so sad and lonely and I'm condemned to roam, 'cause I am a blind fiddler and I'm a great long way from home. Blind fiddler. It's worth going back to back to that. I've been playing a lot of John Hartford recently. He died not that long ago. Quite a character, and I spend a certain amount of time in Oxfam shops, especially because they look after their vinyl very well. And someone obviously dumped an entire folky bluegrass American collection, because I found 3 John Hartford albums. They're all much later albums, which I of course have added to my collection. So there you go. Let's put that down there where it won't get damaged. Sit lovely. So back to the back to the mighty body. This is the last guitar that David built for me before he passed away. I do a lot of recording with this guitar. It's exceptional, and great labour of love. He had 4 guitars on the go. One had my name on it, and they were only put together, in fact. And he knew he wasn't going to finish them, and he gave them as a set to another luthier friend of ours called Chris Billings, who did the actual setting up on he did the frets. In fact, the frets weren't in, and then the finish was by another wonderful set of luthiers from our part of the world, Brook Guitars, nice people, and they did this immaculate finish on this guitar. So I think it's one of the reasons why I'm loath to take it out. Here's a song I learnt from Nick Jones. Now when Bonaparte from Poland into Moscow he went, with all his troops, all his men, their minds were fully bent. For to take the Russian country, they were full employed, while the Russians fought against them, and they soon did them destroy. All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, and made Bonaparte to run and leave his trace behind. Now when from Muscovy city, oh, the Russians did retreat, neither Bonaparte nor all his men heard anything could get. When from Muscovy city the Russians took their flight, they set the town on fire, they burnt it down that night. Oh, the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, and made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. Now when to Muscovy city, oh, the Russians did attack against Bonaparte and all his men. They killed them, took them, drove them back, but the action being so hot from right and left and front and rear, oh damn, this is all Bonaparte, I'll stay no longer here. All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. Then away then went Bonaparte as fast as he could run, over hedges and all ditches he left horses, men and guns, his boxes and his matches, munition wagons too, he left them all behind him. What else could poor Boney do? All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. Then away then went bold Bonaparte as fast as he could ride. The poor Frenchman went after him, saying, oh, it's very hard, but to think you'd lead us all up here and leave us to our fate. Oh, you ought to stop along with us and help us in our state. Oh, the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. Now here's 80,000 men from me they've killed and they've taken, besides 10,000 horses, fine 200 bits of cannon, and never more to Paris or French Flanders I'll advance, for if I do I may be sure they'll teach me how to dance. All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. And it's to concluding thus to try and finish up the song, old Boney's made the Russians swear they wish they'd hold of him, and the cruelest death they put him to, the man that fall. Cassius is old Bonaparte, I'm clear of you all. All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. All the warlike lads of Russia, they fought all in one mind, they made Bonaparte to run and leave his troops behind. I still have that piece of paper tucked away that Nick gave me, which is, firstly, it's a photostat of whichever ballad book he got the fragmentary words from, and he's kind of filled in the gaps and turned it into a coherent song, and so on. And then there's notes sort of around the margin as well. But it's a little piece of paper treasure, and rub it is. So just like with any other gig, and do one more song, and then there'll be a very short virtual break. It won't be 10 minutes, but it'll be extremely short, and then I shall be back with the second half, which will be as live as this one. There will be one microscopic edit because someone actually burst in, but you won't see that. So there you go. Song written by Steve Knightley, based upon some characters that I got to know when I was living on Dartmoor about 12, 13 years ago. I had a beautiful heritage farm up there on the Hennock Ridge, and so sing along, don't be shy. Enough for my needs, but it's other men's cattle I'll water and feed. One day I will pay for the life that I lead. I'm a thief from the edge of the moor. got it down to an art. We set off for stealing, not long after dark, through the fields and the farms where it's easy to park. And the way back home is secure. One cold winter's night after Tavistock Fair, stalling sheep in the trailer and rain in the air, we felt the fat tire and we reached for the spare, by the side of the A38. But the nuts on the wheel must have rusted in place, and I'm under the landy with spray in my face, with only an hour to get out of this place, cursing our bad luck and fate. But there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. A best in the morning, we're fine with a warning. A worst in the evening, we're back out on bail. In the distance we saw a blue flashing light, 2 feet and a loud voice came out of the night, asking if everything here was alright. Would we be soon on our way? Well, John said that he'd go and get help on the phone, and in the distance I'm hearing his soft urgent tones. But that copper, he wouldn't leave it alone, his light on my back number plate. But instead of the AA, John dialed 999. He said, help, we're trapped at the scene of a crime, a gas station, a robbery a mile down the line. Come quickly, we're stuck in the gents. Well, I heard the police radio burst into life. We took the call, slammed the door and set into the night. We worked the wheel loose and we clamped it on tight. Through the first gate all those sheep went, for there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. The best in the morning, we're fine with a warning. The worst in the evening, we're back out on bail. So come you West Country villains, if you set out to steal, keep your phones charged, always check your spare wheel. And if you get caught, use your wits, not your heels. Remember my uncle and me. For somewhere there's a copper who's just hopping mad, and some farmer is counting more sheep than he had. And we're in the middle of the moor at the Warren House Inn, with our pints really glad we weren't born in 1803. But there's no transportation down under, no gallows in the old county jail. The best in the morning, we're fine with a warning. The worst in the evening, we're back out on bail. See you in just a minute, folks. So, just like nothing had happened. sell my home. Too proud to leave or work my fingers to the bone. So I got my down Easter Alexa, and I go where the ocean is deep. There are giants out there in the canyon, and a good captain can't fall asleep. Well, I got bills to pay and children who need clothes. I know that there's fish out there, but where God only knows. I say these waters aren't what they used to be, but I got people back home that look out on me. So if you see my down Easter Alexa, and if you work with the rod and the reel, tell my wife I am trolling Atlantis, and I still have my hands on the wheel. Man like my father was before, but you can't make a living as a bayman anymore. There ain't no future for a man who works the sea, and there's no life left for islanders like me. Now I drive my down Easter Alexa shore every year, since they told me I can't catch no stripers, and there's no luck sword fishing here. Billy Joel. Never liked Billy Joel until that. So I didn't dislike him, but none of it ever resonated with me until that album, Stormfront, and then I suddenly really liked lots of the songs. And great songwriter, obviously, and a fantastic performer. But that's a magic song. That is. So here is a real blast from the past. I just remembered this almost by accident. There was a singer-songwriter, London circuit singer-songwriter called Mick Softly. He played all the London area folk clubs in the 60s and the early 70s. It's called Mick Softly. He was very, very good. I have no idea if he's still with us, or I don't know anything about it. Nothing perfunctory search of the internet doesn't reveal anything, and people who used to know him quite well, organisers of folk clubs and things like that, also say they have no clue about him at all. But he did write a lot of good songs, and Donovan grabbed quite a few of them. One of Donovan's big songs was, remember the one, The War Drags On? That's a Mick Softly song. But this is one I always liked. This is, so if I can remember this one, this is the God Watch Blues. I went up for my interview on the first day of July. Foreman, he questioned me till I nearly cried. The questions he asked me made me shake with fear. Oh, the colour of my toilet roll, and if my brother's queer. Here's your gold watch, and your shackles for your chains, and a piece of paper to say I left here sane. And if you've a son who wants a good career, just get him to sign on the dotted line and work for 50 years. They asked me how many jobs I'd had before. Nearly had a heart attack when I told him four jobs in 20 years. Well, this can never be, 'cause we only take on men who work until they die. Here's your gold watch and your shackles for your chain, and a piece of paper to say I left here sane. And if you've a son who wants a good career, just get him to sign on the dotted line and work for 50 years. He took me outside to where the gravestones stood in line. This is where we'll bury you in quicksand and in lime. If you want to work for us, then you must agree. We only take on men who'll work until they die. Here's a gold watch and your shackles for your chains, and your piece of paper say I left you sane. And if you've a son who wants a good career, you just get him to sign on the dotted line and work for 50 years. Story that you heard, well, you may think rather clear, but it is the truth. You'll be surprised to hear I did not want no job upon that board. Oh, I just wanted to take a broom and sweep that bloody floor. Here's your gold watch and your shackles for your chains, and a piece of paper say I left you sane. And if you've a son who wants a good career, you just get him to sign on the dotted line, get him to sign on the dotted line, get him to sign on the dotted line and work for 50 years. Thank you. I think there was some. I got a line wrong or other. Yeah, I owe you a line, and the line is in fact to be inside where the ghosts and lines, wherever you've done in lime. Well, first then you must agree, and if you want to work for us, then you must agree. But if you're gonna die, please do it during tea break. Here's and so on and so forth. Sorry. Yes, that's the line I owe you. So, anyway, yeah, great old song. Let's do something new. Sorry, I am now deviating from the abortive set list of Friday nights, in fact, because I feel like having a go at this one. Whenever you like make a show of a hands album or anything like that, there's always rejects, and they're not rejects in that sense. It's just they don't come out the way we thought they thought they would. And this is a Chris Hoban song, our collaborator and friend and accordion player, and his songs are absolutely wonderful. We all love his songs, but we did a version of this which is actually very nice, but it just didn't fit with the rest of the album somehow. So maybe that version will appear at some juncture, certainly, but just for the moment, I'm certainly going to record this with the electric band at some juncture. But yeah, see if you like this one. I think this is lovely. Has a kind of Raikuda feeling. And there's a piece of me that's missing and it's proven hard to find. I didn't pay it much attention, and it faded over time. Now my heart feels like a turnstile, wheeling silently in space, and turning circles with no purpose, like two hands without a trace. If it's been so long, and I can last a little longer, and if that's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. And each night I die, to be each day a little stronger, and if that's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. Although silences are golden, however beautiful they seem, some are cold and some are lonely, where some symmetry should be. I know the past seems like the present, and the present's been mislaid, and there's a piece of me that's missing, that's a part that I've misplayed. If it's been so long, and I can last a little longer, and if it's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. And each night I die, to be each day a bit stronger, and if that's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. If it's been so long, I can last a little longer, and if that's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. And at night I die, to be each day a little stronger, and if that's what it takes to find you, then I'll bide my time. By the excellent Mr. Chris Hoban. Yeah, nice song that. I think we'll work on that. Yeah, be nice with the electric band. So there you go. Remember, you heard it here first. So there. So once again, apologies for Friday night's fiasco. I hope this in some way goes in some way to make up for it, and so on. So this show, obviously, the links that you guys have got are anonymous links, so no one else can get to this one except you guys, and it'll stay up there for a week, so you can refer back to it and play it, download it, do what you like with it. Folk songs are strange things, traditional songs. Cecil Sharp, I believe, once made a quotation, something along the lines of, the individual invents and the community selects, which is, I think, is a very good way of describing the Chinese whispers process by which songs develop, and different versions and different routes develop. And sometimes they take a bit of a left turn at the traffic lights. I'm afraid, but this is absolutely this is folk song perfection, this one. And we were in awe of Tony Rose, one of the great interpreters of traditional songs, especially West Country stuff as well. And this is a song that he made his own. So thank you for your legacy, Tony. Was on one April's morning, just as the sun was rising. It was on an April's morning, I heard the small birds sing. They were singing lovely Nancy, oh love it is our Nancy. And sweet were the notes that I heard the small birds sing. They were singing lovely Nancy, oh love it is our Nancy. And sweet were the notes that I heard the small birds sing. Young men are false and are full of all deceiving. Young men are false and they seldom will prove true, but they're roving and they're ranging, their hearts are always changing, seeking to find out some other girl that's new. Young men, don't you spend all your long, long time in courting. Young men, don't you spend all your long, long time in vain. For I don't intend to marry, I would far rather tarry. Young men, don't you spend all your long, long time in vain. Straight to this breast a tether, and I'd lock you there forever. And I pray that it would never stray far from me again. It was on one April's morning, just as the sun was rising. It was on an April's morning, I heard the small birds sing. They were singing lovely Nancy, oh love it is our fancy. And sweet were the notes that I heard the small birds sing. They were singing lovely Nancy, oh love it is our fancy. And sweet were the notes that I heard the small birds sing. April morning, learnt from the wonderful Tony Rose. And now I think time for something a little bit more up-tempo and... Saw a bus pistol in the general store. I was 13, thought it was the finest thing I ever did see. I still I could get one someday when I grew up. Mama looked at us and she nearly blew up. She didn't understand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand, the devil's right hand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand, devil's right hand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. My first pistol was a cap and ball Colt. Shoots as fast as lightning, but it loads a mile slow. Loads a mile slow. You can shoot a man down, get you into trouble, but it can't get you out. My next pistol was a Colt 45. Called it Peacemaker, but I never knew why. Never knew why. Didn't understand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. Devil's right hand. Mama says the pistol is the devil's right hand. Cooking in a company town. Well, I caught a man cheating and I shut the dog down. Shut the dog down. Watched the man fall. Never reached his house and never had a chance to go. My trial was in the morning and they kicked me out of bed. Asked me if I pleaded not guilty, I said. Guilty, I said. You got the wrong man. The hand that pulled the trigger was the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. And the pulled the trigger was the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand of the devil's right hand. And I pulled the trigger was the devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. The devil's right hand. The hand that pulled the trigger was the devil's right hand. Steve-O. Steve-O, always one of my favourite songwriters. I'll never forget the night I went to see him at Huntingdon Hall with the full band all those years ago. Came out and found that my Land Rover had been towed afterwards, and then the fun of staying at the Albert down in Bristol, which was very pleasant. They gave us a floor for the night, which was extremely nice, and then went to retrieve the old Landy the following morning, and it was like assault at precinct 13. It was full of people with terrible hangovers, all of whose cars had been towed, and generally people behaving badly. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's about 12 open stringed instruments here, and they're all resonating. As I said, probably the audio is not good enough on this system to pick up those very high frequencies. after the paper round. I know that I daydreamed a lot, and invisible hand I held the dreams of winning Wimbledon and dating Tuesday well. Take Ann Baker to the rubies, but only cost me half a crown. Could have been Kirk Douglas, but I had my paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. And nothing I see convinces me that the world's not falling apart. And I could tell you stories that would surely break your heart. They never taught me how to tell lies. They never said I'd have to compromise just to get on without, without that paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. I'm too old to be a paper boy, I'm too young to be a lollipop man, but I've got my shoulder to the wheel and doing what I can. And as the dreams hit heavy weather and they slowly ran the ground. If you never got the grace, if you never got the grace, if you never got the grace, you could blame that paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round, never let it get me down. All the dreams that I never found after the paper round. Again, from the somewhat whimsical wit and poetry of Mr. Dave Bell of Decameron. It was those guys, again back in the middle 70s, that provided, Decameron was the name of the band that Johnny Coppin and Dave Bell were in, and they all lived in and around Cheltenham because they'd formed a band whilst they were at the art college there, and Cheltenham was a much more sensible place to be gigging from than any other place that any of them lived. And Paul Downs and I, being in Brighton at that time, love it to bits, as I've said, but nevertheless it was something of a nuisance to travel from. And then of course they built the M23, then they built the M25, which hasn't made any difference at all. In fact, I often refer to the M25 as an orbital car park. That's lovely. From the English Book of Penguin Folk Songs, or was it the Penguin Book of English Folk Songs? Oh, you Western Ocean labourers, I would have you to beware. When you're leaving Liverpool, no dungaree jumpers wear, but have a monkey jacket always at your command, and think no more of the cold nor'westers on the banks of the Newfoundland. Oh, as I lay in my bunk one night, I was dreaming all alone. Dreamt I was in Liverpool, way back in Marylebone, with my true love beside me and a jug of ale in hand. And then I awoke quite broken-hearted on the banks of the Newfoundland. So we'll rub around and scrub holy stone and sand. Bid farewell to the virgin rocks on the banks of the Newfoundland. Oh, we had a 1/2 inch from a ballad, a inch, Jimmy Murphy and Mike Moore. It was in the winter of '62, the sea boys suffered sore. Oh, they'd pawned their clothes in Liverpool and sold them out of hand, not thinking of the cold nor'westers on the banks of the Newfoundland. So we'll rub around and scrub around with holy stone and sand. We'll bid farewell to the virgin rocks on the banks of the Newfoundland. Oh, we had a female passenger, Bridget Riley, it was her name. Her I promised marriage, and on me she had a claim. Well, she tore up her flannel, her petticoats, to make her mittens for our hands. She couldn't see the sea boys freeze on the banks of the Newfoundland. So we'll rub around and scrub around with holy stone and sand. We'll bid farewell to the virgin rocks on the banks of the Newfoundland. Now we're off Sandy Hook, me boys, and the land's all covered with snow. Tug will take our hawser, and for New York we will tow. And when we arrive at the Black Ball Dock, the pretty girls will come around, and we'll go no more roving on the banks of the Newfoundland. So we'll rub around and scrub around with holy stone and sand. We'll bid farewell to the virgin rocks on the banks of the Newfoundland. So we'll rub around and scrub around with holy stone and sand. And we'll bid farewell to the virgin rocks on the banks of the Newfoundland. Banks of Newfoundland always has been one of my favourite old songs, and so I think most of the trad songs that I've done on this little gig are all on box set 2 disc 1 old songs. If anyone has an uncontrollable urge to get a preview, there will be track number 1 from that disc will be up on the Chopin's download page imminently, in fact, and that's a version of The Girl I Left Behind Me or Brighton Camp. So yeah, check that one out. Well, that's about it, folks. So for the last time, apologies for the fiasco. Oops, get the right guitar. Apologies for the fiasco that was Friday, and I hope this in some way makes up for it. This is exclusive to you guys, and this one will remain up there for a week as well, so you can do what you like with it, and if you choose to download it, please feel free. And so thank you very much for bearing with me, and so we'll have the ultimate truck driving song to finish with, the late great Lowell George. Take it easy, folks. I've been woke by the rain, driven by the snow, while I'm drunk and dirty, but don't you know that I'm still out on the highways late at night. I see pretty Alice, every red light. Oh, Alice, Dallas, Alice. And I've been found some to drink and carry, Tehachapi to Tonopah. I've driven every kind of rig that's ever been give me weed, whites and wine, and show me a sign, and I'll be willing. I've been kicked by the wind, driven by the sleet, I've had my head stove in, but I'm still on my feet and I'm still willing. Smoking some smokes and flows from Mexico, I gotten baked by the sun every time I go to Mexico. To some to pick and carry, that should be the ton apart. I've given every kind of way that's ever been made. I even rode the back road so I wouldn't get wet. If you give me weed, whites and wine, and show me a sign, and I'll be willing. To some to pick and carry, that should be the ton apart. I've driven every kind of rig that's ever been made. I even rode them back roads so I wouldn't get wet. But if you give me weed, whites and wine, and show me a sign, and I'll be willing to be moving. I'll be willing to be moving. Thank you, my dears. Take it easy.